Yes, people, what do you look like? Good to see you. Today's one, this one's called Teacher, essentially about what they're not teaching us. And we're going to go through quite a bit. So hold your head, pay attention.
Listen, it's been like, how long?
How long's a piece of string?
Teacher, yeah?
Yeah, Teacher.
Interesting title.
You know, because there's more that we don't know rather compared to what we should know.
Yeah.
And everything. So just putting it out there, Teacher, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah. So what are your thoughts on Black History Month as itself?
Are we going to start there?
Yep, right there on the button.
Do you remember when you first ever heard of Black? I can't even remember when I first heard of it. I know when I was a kid,
a while ago,
I never heard of Black History Month growing up.
I don't remember it. I only remember us hearing about it maybe towards my adult life.
Yeah.
It never was really examined during my childhood. Not really.
No, it wasn't a focus. At the moment, I think Black History Month it's definitely good to bring awareness to our history and to the things that we're doing now. Mm-hmm. And so that people that are not Black recognise what we've done or a portion of what we've done. And so that us ourselves can be reminded of how powerful our history is. Right. However, I work in education. I've got kids in education. Right. And the kids get tired of it. It's like Christmas.
That word right there.
It's the same thing every year. It doesn't evolve, you know. So we don't have Black History Month 1, 2, 3 where we get further along and explore different things. Yeah. In terms of education, it's a curriculum and you revisit the same thing. So if a kid's gone through 11 years of school, they've seen 11 Black histories exactly the same. And kids don't want to do 11 nothing exactly the same.
That's right.
Unless it's a computer game. So I think it's a positive thing, but there should be a national curriculum that moves in terms of children, the approach to it with them. What about you?
Me, I find that Black History, month in itself or just in education-wise?
Black History Month.
Some of it rubs me the wrong way, only because of the timing of it in October, when no one's really checking for it.
What do you mean?
Because what I would look is, I see more Black people during the summer months, June, July, August. Yeah. That's when people's outside and they always want to celebrate themselves and celebrate the carnival and that.
That's true. You could have so many external celebrations where people can see us. Yeah. Carnival could be tied into it. They have other group celebrations in the summer. You're right. I never thought about that.
Yeah. But that and the fact of what they call of so-called Black history, you know, you're never going to get the full spectrum unless you decide to research. Yeah. You know, so you have to be prepared that you're not going to get the whole spectrum. You're not going to get the whole bit. Yeah. There's only half truths, essentially. Yeah. You know, so if you really want to know what really, really happened, that's going to require you to go to a place called the library, you know, and other places as such, and just really understand and be around peers and everybody that is more cultured and more expert with the whole thing with Black history. Yeah. And for some young Black people, the Black people ain't got access to Black people in their bloodline necessarily because they've been removed from that. Yeah. How are they going to have the confidence or know how to go and seek that? That's mad. You look at your household first and then your peers second externally, you know, as a scope of measuring what you want to become. So with that being said, if you see the identity of yourselves as only being a roadman or you're only as good as what you can provide between your two hands, you think, okay, right, I have to do such and such to do this, but you don't really learn the value of your identity of beyond slavery. Yeah. And slavery. Let's face it, that's what Black history has been diminished to, in schools. Yeah. It's diminished to slavery and being freed from slavery, whoever they choose to tell you freed us from slavery. Yeah. And then now, like what happened in 2020 with the Black movements, they're the kind of three cornerstone moments apparently of Black history. Yeah, everyone that you should learn about, they get X'd out or they're not really examined, and everybody that they want you to know about ain't here no more. So what do you get? Yeah, you know, like it's the whole bit with being non-violent and Dr. King and everything.
That's the mainstream message, though, right? Yeah.
But look what happened to him. My man.
And it's American Black history. This is another thing that I don't have a problem or no cons with, but we're very familiar with that American slavery story and what came out of it and the resistance and then the things that happened after that. Yeah. And I personally want to know more. I want to know about what about the British Black history? What about African history? I want to know more of that. Are we creating a problem ourselves though? Yeah, because I would argue that I grew up in a house where me and my sisters, we woke up in a house where we looked around the house, walked in the hallway, and all we saw was images of our history. Yeah, we saw paintings, we saw masks, you know, we saw photographs, books. But I haven't got that in my house. And so I'm not giving my kids the opportunity to even feel proud to be, or to normalize that stuff, let alone to get them to go and step out and find that information. Yeah. Imagine we had the internet when we were young. My parents would be the best educators in the world. Yeah. With the little they had and the little knowledge they could acquire, they were amazing. We've got endless resources right now. Yeah.
But where do we start? Because like some people are not into books, some people are only into watching films and documentaries, but then even that's not enough really, because where do you look for connecting the dots? Because you always end up...
So you're saying there's too much information?
Well, too much of the necessary information is not really given in prescription value.
Right.
We end up having to learn about, you know, like all is it just me, but all these films are all about fantasy and all that stuff, and you know, Black Panther was a Wakanda and all that stuff, but no one's really looking behind the scenes of what the story's really about and what it's really telling you. Yeah, everything is just everybody lives this Disneyland fantasy, but not really, you know, piecing it together, thinking, okay, right, there used to be people that used to, you know, have dynasties and everything. Yeah,
it's all superficial. We look at we look at the superficial. Yeah, but it's Americanized. Yeah. I think we have to escape that Americanism. It's a nice little, like Black Panther, I think was a good kind of like taster for people to then think, let me find more. Yeah. But what was missing, and I think what you're getting at is that deeper, that wasn't there. There was no other step on the ladder. It was almost like, there is more, but go find it. Where do we go? Yeah. It'll be interesting actually after this conversation to start sharing resources, because I know they're there. And I know there are people that have built a great kind of pathway of things that you can discover. So I'd be interested to find that out beyond October.
But this is it, because, you know, October is starts one way and then ends with Halloween. So what is that really telling you? You know what I mean? Yeah. You know, what are your thoughts on just learning, you know, basic history or recent history through TV? What does that look like for you?
Well, on general kind of traditional TV, it doesn't exist. Does it exist? Do you see it?
I'm not really a Netflix man, so you're kind of asking the wrong person. But at the same time, the imagery that we're given about is that we're only as good as, you know, selling something, you know, Top Boy or Supercell. All these entities that, you know, celebrate us in a good light or something that is just, you know, learning to hustle. Yeah. At the end of the day, who's really benefiting from it?
I think there's a great opportunity there. If you're talking about Netflix, I thought you're talking about traditional terrestrial.
Yeah, we could go there as well.
But if we're talking about Netflix and Amazon Prime and Peacock and all that stuff, I think there's a really great opportunity to tell Black history stories, because at the moment we're telling the hustler story, the black man, the drug dealer. Yeah, but. Documentaries are, when we were at school, documentaries are boring, innit? Like, no one wanted to watch a documentary. Kids were turned off by that.
That's it, yeah.
But look at documentaries in the last 6-7 years. Netflix and all them things have made documentaries appealing to younger people. Yeah. They've changed the style of them. It's still factual pieces, but the format is there now, that where people are listening. So there can be documentaries that are about what we want to learn. Again, it comes down to the finance. You could kill it, just like Black Panther killed it. Yeah. You could kill it with a Black history documentary, not called Black History, but maybe focused on one particular element or period or person or thing that happened to get people curious. Yeah. Because we're seeing that breakthrough. Like true crime is the big thing now. Yeah. Why are all these kids into solving murders and and like, what's it called? Like forensic science and stuff. That's boring.
Yeah.
But the documentary's made it appealing, and I think the documentary can do that for us too.
Yeah, because I find it that, just pull on your point, like people using critical thinking in that way, but ain't really using it for the community that is at large that could benefit from that.
Yeah.
So it makes it a case of, you got the mind space for true crime, but the crime of what really happened, you're not there with it. What's going on? Yeah, I find it that everyone's kind of, what's the word? Everyone's excited by the entertainment value of what it looks like, not rather really looking like what value it can bring to their livelihood.
Yeah.
Because it's only like, okay, yeah, I just want to escape my 9 to 5 or my livelihood, just to kind of just not have to think so much, and sit down and just be at ease, not feel like I want to rip somebody down and point at the TV and break something because all this has gone on, you know. Because if you really look at, you know, maybe it's just me, but Black history itself, you know, there's two faces towards it. You find, like, the way that it's been presented, right? If you really look at it, Black history of recent times, or the last couple 100 years, you know, it's supposed to be just look at it, but don't really examine why that is.
Lip service. Just
lip service. Don't really don't get mad at the people that are aggressive to people that benefit from it. Just brush over it and don't worry about the history. Don't worry about your future. But it's supposed to be connected. But don't make the comparison that, you know, your history is related to your future in that way.
It's hidden history, and the only reason you hide things is because you're worried about what people will do with the information.
Do you think that kind of relates to how people would need to visit their roots and just really discover themselves, where, you know, the motherland is the center point of the world, and how everything is evolving around exploitation from that matter, to where now it's like, okay, in all this social media, like, and the pretenders that say, Black history, and then, you know, where they at afterwards.
How many people go on holiday to an African country? How many? Like, they'll all go Ibiza, they'll all go, you know, Australia, even far places like that cost money. How many of them go, we're going on a long weekend to Ghana?
But then realizing that, or reflecting that at one point it wasn't cool to be looking like you was going to Africa or be African as such. Everything would just be Caribbean, and you know, listen to music and be entertained by people that, you know, do that. And then, you know, now Africa is popular with Afro beats as such, and everything now is like, okay, everything's Africanized, and
I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that.
I got that, I know, because that's your people's.
Like, it's something needed to happen, didn't it? You know what I mean? Something needed to happen. People weren't naturally being attracted back to the motherland because of the images they were told, or whatever it was. So something needed to happen. But are people going back? Are they? I don't know. You tell me.
It's not a strong invasion.
No.
I will say that. But afterwards, it's a case of, that's because people have direct roots. You know, one of my guys is from Ghana, another guy's from Uganda, and in close proximity, all the other countries with that. But other people go there for holidays and whatnot. But I find it that Africa should be a place that should be held in high regard, because, you know, it sounds like where, okay, but how is it that Africa's got all the mineral wealth, but, you know, everyone's got the monetary wealth? Something's wrong with that.
Absolutely stripped.
But you get the image of Live Aid and the boy with the gas belly.
You know, they still do that.
Still got it.
Still doing it, man.
Still there.
Like, I thought that was a high school thing.
But this is it, because, you know, what image are they trying to perpetuate or keep perpetuating? Because we don't necessarily. I think the young mind is more gravitating to what is first seen, and not really looking behind of why that is pictured in that way. Because, okay, you see the Live Aid and the famine, but, you know, you're not realizing that, you know, the very materials we use every day come from that place. So who's really poor and who's really benefiting? You know, deep diving into who I am as a black person, you know, it all relates to that place. And at the same time, the roots of the journey of everything. You know, my family come from the Caribbean, from Guyana and Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, you know, I don't really know my peoples about what happened, how they got there at that point. I only know about their journey, like you said, from the Windrush. Because my mum came when she was small, and my dad came when he was small as well. So, you know, I'm learning about their story, and then afterwards, learning about what happened and the whole transportation of, you know, Windrush, and then learning their story that things were not easy at all. And then now, you know, Africa seems to be the place to be. But then when the lights and cameras are off, what are you left with? So this is where it's at.
Do you know what, though? It doesn't have to be, I don't think a trip to an African country has to be, it doesn't have to be a self-discovery thing.
No.
I think it can literally just be, let's go on a stag do.
Yeah.
Let's go Nigeria. Do you know what I mean? It can just be that, because we're doing that anyway. We're going to these random European countries for that anyway.
Yeah.
And it don't cost any more. It's not any further, maybe slightly further.
No.
It's beautiful weather. It can just be that. And I think people, as white people, go there more than us.
Yeah.
I think the reason is because we have this hanging over us, like, I need to discover myself. This is a big step. I need to be ready. It needs to be the right time, like you said to me. But it doesn't have to be that. I think if we're just going there, let's go on a family holiday. You're eventually going to like be connected and come back. I do believe that. It took that for me. I was not forced, but I was put in a situation where I have to go now. And it took that to get me there. And I'm embarrassed about that.
I do find that European countries are more glamorized than Africa at some point.
Until you get there.
You know, and then you have, you know, Caribbean countries that rely on the tourism of other people to come.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes this dichotomy of Africa, you know, people that take from it, and then Caribbean rely on people that need to come or for a reason to come to those places.
Yeah.
So you find it that, you know, that whole triangle of Europe, Caribbean, Africa, like, no one's hands are clean when it comes to doing something for somebody. Like, you know, because it all ties back to the Commonwealth. And then afterwards, you know, learning that all these colonial powers are still in power for sneak-handed reasons.
As bad as I talk about like hip-hop really having a negative influence on my life, as much as I love it, there have been some positiveness and positive people that have come out of British hip-hop. Like, I was a big fan of Sway, 2004, 2003, up to 2007. Sway was the guy, he was funny, he was a good rapper, he made beats, he talked sense, he had a laugh sometimes. He invested back, he went back to Ghana. He's big out there now, So, Lethal B, have you seen what he done out there? He posted some bits this year.
He's got houses and property, innit?
Houses, this man built a whole complex out in, I think it's Nigeria. Is it Nigeria? Could be Nigeria. So there are, and they're putting a spotlight on it. It's not hidden. Do you know what I mean? They're on their timelines and they're proud to do that now. And I do think that's going to have a big impact on the new wave of rappers and kids who are doing music, especially since African music is now popular.
Are you into Afrobeats yourself, or you just kind of
Some of it is alright. I like Amapiano more.
Okay.
Because it's more like house, and I've been to a couple of Amapiano raves and I like the vibe, I like the people. Afro beats, as it is a very, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't even know a lot about it, but a lot of it now feels like it's mixed up with British black culture too. So it's very much kind of like half of what we already had. It feels very familiar in a way, and it's now starting to get a bit more formulaic, I find, in terms sonically, like musically. But I can't hate on none of it, because I grew up in England where we used to rap American. So it's all good.
Yeah, hip hop, man.
What about you?
Everyone has their turn, and it's their turn, so let them go. I'm not a hater to anybody that is in progress. You know, hip hop doesn't really do it the way it used to do for me when I was in my childhood. Because that's maybe because I've just grown and evolved. You know, and then now it's like, okay, people's there for the vibe. They're not really there for the lyrics like that. So, you know, trying to tell a 21-year-old about, you know, NWA and, you know, Tribe Called Quest and them kind of eras, like, unless people are studying their ear towards the CD player,
Yeah.
People are just, Shazamming it or MP3, if that, Bluetooth. When you talk about, hip hop, there's no real great message songs out there. Like before it was, I don't know, like The Message by Grandmaster Flash, if people remember that, or someone like Keep Your Head Up, or Dear Mama, them kind of, songs that makes you think, right, that's deep.
Yeah.
Like, nice all, as Dad was put it, lick me, suck me, kiss me, cuss me, all them thing there.
Say that again.
all of that.
Yeah.
I can't gravitate to a Sexy Red and Doja Cat and them things there. And
that didn't come from what was before.
Yeah.
Here's a question. So who, out of your whole time listening to hip hop, and I know you listen to other stuff too, but focus on American hip hop only, who managed to strike the balance of appeal and message?
Appeal and what's the last bit?
And message. Because there's a lot of rappers that had message and you never hear them because they ain't cool enough or they ain't appeal. But who managed to strike that balance, do you think?
I can't think. I mean, no, I've got songs that I like.
Well, you said like Keep Your Head Up, Tupac. So he had the appeal for a time and the kind of message for a time, in spurts, I'd say.
Yeah. But I can't really say that it's been a long-term thing.
No.
Like, everybody's kind of had their own moment.
For me, what about Lupe? Fiasco?
I liked him, but I think good and bad, he wasn't really pushed to where he could have been. He didn't peak the right way.
He didn't peak in the same way, but he had international top 10s.
He did.
About? Okay, what about Dead Prez?
Oh man, Dead Prez, my peoples. Dead Prez, I like them.
Yeah.
Dead Prez, Dead Prez, I like them.
They had that message.
Yeah.
But they were also like RBG, the third album, I think it was.
Yeah.
That was like revolutionary about gangster. They still had the aggression. Like I could as a kid, I'd like that.
Yeah.
But there was the message too, and they were just pointing that aggression in the right direction. They were like, the aggression was more like, this is what you should be doing. Get out there.
Yeah.
Rather than kill a sucker, whatever you were saying.
But this is it. I think the message just gets watered down. People not really have the attention span to really learn something new or what they need to know. Everything is about, every 10 seconds. What you don't really get people or a DJ playing the whole song. It's like the first 30 seconds, if that.
Jesus. So, I see you got some books down there. What's going on?
Books. I think are the way forward. People should find the time to learn something new or something about themselves through a book, because everyone has the time or the capacity to sit and watch a documentary or a film, but books could be seen as old school. But how is it that the book costs less than the film, but you can learn more from the book? So what are you really learning from that percent? I could put more life experience in a book compared to the film. The film could be 2-3 years production, cost this much to do. The book could cost you £10, £12 of that, but that can save you 10 years worth of life experience right there.
Absolutely.
If you find out the mistakes what you were doing before, but then you change yourself and then you find yourself, right, that saved me a bit. Like the man that lives the same way when he was 20, now 30, is kind of wasted 10 years worth of growth.
Yeah.
So going forward, books or just audio books, I won't just say books, but having the capacity to listen, not just watch by imagery.
Yeah.
So this is where we're at.
Have you always read books, or was there an age where you kind of realised, that's where I've got to go to get what I need?
I stopped, but I came back into it just after I was about 19, kind of because I was at uni, and then I went to the African Caribbean Society at the uni. But it's a case of just understanding what was really going on. I was so shocked of my real black history. I was like, wow. Like I almost damn near it just wrote off the first part of my life. Yeah. And I had to kind of just think, right, I need to learn what's really going on, because I felt, like you said, embarrassed to know that I don't know a lot.
Yeah.
And then coming back to where what you should know for what you do know is two different lists.
Yeah.
So, just learning about, certain things, or how life is, or how history is, you know, there's certain patterns that kind of occurs as we go through these times. So learning that and just learning about books that, you know, people, you can get a lot more from a book compared to a movie. Maybe that's just me.
No, you absolutely can. You know, a movie is 2 hours, you know, with a budget.
Entertainment wise, yeah.
You know, and a lot of overseers. A book, you can write a book and put it out next year, and no one's overseeing it. You know, even especially now, we haven't got to go through publishers and editors and things like that. You can put your book out. However, I do think that can be problematic if there's no quality control, especially when you're talking about history, because fact checking, quality testing is really important. So I'm interested to see what you recommended and who's writing it.
Yeah. This one is called How Europe Underdeveloped Africa by Walter Rodney. Explains the pillaging and the exploitation that Europe made through the centuries and how it came across that you have colonialism and neocolonialism and imperialism, all the isms, schisms, but more or less of what was done towards many, many years and the post effects of slavery towards today. And that's that one. This one's called Countering the Conspiracy to Black Boys by Dr. Jawanza Konjofu. This one is good, learning about how us black boys get targeted through the system, how different learning styles need to be catered for towards us boys, and that not everything is about imagery, and just learning about the rites of passage that should be recommended when it comes to us being as boys growing into men. The N-word by Jabari Asim. This one talks about the etymology of the N-word, quite deep. You know, by the end of it, I don't think people will be saying it the same way because it has its own connotations and its own history, which can be seen as different, but more or less something to really look forward to if you want to look that way. But, you know, how deep is the rabbit hole? So this is one. David Harewood, called Maybe I Don't Belong Here, talking about his black experience through Britain and how his whole breakdown that he had and the way of identifying himself with his race and where he comes from location-wise, and how it, you know, starts to plague on his mental health, or what was his mental health, and just the microaggressions that happen daily and just kind of sporadically just kind of get to you if you're not careful to know what really needs to be done for our own self-preservation. Susu and Susonomics talk us about black group economics that should be celebrated and, you know, talked about. You know, some people would call it a partner or extra bits with, you know, Caribbean society, and also what we should be kind of pushing towards learning about when we need to learn with each other. And that would be that.
That to me, that's really appealing because it's almost there's an instruction. I like books where there's an instruction and not just a story. I do like a story. Yeah.
The autobiography of Malcolm X. Some can say, enough said. This one talks about his spiritual journey, coming from what was a life of crime and his dad being a Garveyite, and then coming towards he joining the Nation of Islam and then becoming a Sunni Muslim. Maybe not for everybody, but definitely give something to adhere to, and just learn about the climate of what was the 60s and the 50s for the civil rights, you know, and just learning about who he was to become the person he is and how he's celebrated towards today. You know this one, right? Natives by Akala. This book, enough said. This book is really good to understand, you know, about race and class, and, you know, him coming from a biracial background as himself, and some people know the brother of Miss Dynamite, and just learning about who he became and learning about everything with identity, getting stopped by the police. You know, a lot of good gems in here to really recite and listen to. The Psychology of Self-Hatred and Self-Defeat by Dr. Amos Wilson. This one is really good to listen and really deep dive to who we are as people, that we've been conditioned in such a way and that it takes a toll on our bodies, and that those very issues can become quite a big thing where we have this consciousness where we're not aware that, being stressed and being probed in certain ways, that we can become very much out of ourselves, out of our character, and just learning about who we are, and just community-wise that our reality can be distorted if we're not careful. And this last one is called When We Ruled by Robin Walker. This one talks a lot about the centuries before slavery, a lot of good insight towards what was Africa before it was called Africa. Yeah. So definitely something to really deep dive into. And he's also a mentor to Akala. So in that way, they are linked and formed, and that's that.
Like, love that, man.
Yeah.
And so that collection, when did that start, of those particular books?
Kind of a couple years ago, and I was want to kind of deep dive into to kind of learn about, my Black experience is not just my experience. It's a community experience that can be seen as that I'm one of many. Mm-hmm. I got to learn, not just for me, but also for the future generations. Yeah. Because, the buck stops with me, where, you can blame the household or where you came from and think, oh, I didn't know this, so I didn't become this person. Yeah. But at some point, you have to kind of take accountability that, you have to, if you once you see better, you do better.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that's where it's at.
Cool. At the start, you were saying that like you feel like books are kind of more worthy of it, more valuable than a film.
Yeah.
The way we're moving, are we going to have less books being produced that are supporting the discovery or the rediscovery of the black experience?
I don't think so. I think there's more of a playing field that we are all relatable in some fashion, that we all have a story to say. Mm-hmm. It's just a case of taking the bull by the horn to actually want to say something worthy. Like, I don't really hear or see too many people wasting time on, words that don't make sense in a book. Yeah. You can get a bly when it comes to films. Yeah. A 10-second clip, and it's like, oh, what's that? It doesn't really sit in your head. Yeah. But a book, a good 200 pages. Yeah. You need to make sure everything sticks and connect the dots.
Yeah, absolutely.